All right. Bright,
Yes.
you
Yes, sir.
have the question. So, the way it is right now, with the way my phone is, I can't access the question. So, if you can read to me, we have more than one question for you
We have about
and
we have
Temi, I
about four
think.
questions. Yes.
About how many
And
questions?
then there two from Temi that are almost similar. One
Yeah.
from me, and then
Uh, all right.
another from Tom Ted, which is actually coming like as a follow up from my own question.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay. So let's start with Temi's question. So you might have to read out the questions to me because I don't have the questions here with me right now. So just read
All
them
right.
out to me and. So let's start with Temi. If they go together, just read them out together.
Yes, I'll read Temi's two questions together, so you can decide to
All
either
right.
answer together or like break them into two. So Temi's first question
Okay,
is
cool.
actually, um, how was your early and late 30s? What can we who are about to clock our early 30s do better and learn from you? Two, if you could go back to your 20s, what would you have done and did better? So those are the two questions.
Okay,
Can
all right.
you
So
read them again? Should I read
no,
them
no, no,
again?
yeah, no, 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 no. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. All right. So the question is, if I could go back to my twenties, let me start from the twenties question. If I go back to
Yes.
my twenties, what would I have done better in my twenties?
Yeah.
Um, I you know I feel in my twenties, I was too distracted by, you know, I'd not yet come to a consciousness of what was important in life then. I didn't even know who I was per se. In a lot of my twenties, I didn't know who I was. So my twenties, just coming out of school, I finished school like university when I was 22. Um, Up until that time, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know why I was going to school. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had very little self awareness. So um, it was a lot of things were not intentional. So I was in university. I got to university when I was 18, and you know I just went to study architecture because I didn't see myself doing any other thing, but not like if I really liked architecture. So I believe my twenties. I spent a lot of time in my twenties self discovering. And if I could do anything better in my 20s, um, I think what I would have done would have been um, be less concerned about what other people thought about me, other people's thoughts about me. Because then I was a bit too concerned about what my parents think, what society will think. So it didn't allow me to be as experimental as I should have been. You understand? So I was too concerned about other people's opinions. You understand? And I don't think the 20s is the time for you to be so concerned about other people's opinion per se. I think it's a time for you to really find out who you are and you know be adventurous. Be adventurous to a very large extent. So yeah, I would have done that in my 20s. Another thing I didn't do in my 20s enough was I didn't read enough. I never developed a reading culture till I was I was in my I never developed a reading culture till, to be honest with you, my till about three years ago. That's the truth. I started actively reading in 2020 during the pandemic. That's when I started really getting into reading. That's when I downloaded this app called Scribd, and that made me realize that, man, there are books out there and books are very important. But then I was never a big reader. I didn't like to read. And now that I do read, I realize how much I've been missing out on. And because there's a lot of knowledge in reading. So I would have read more in my 20s. I should have read more. I remember then my dad used to buy me a lot of books, or at least some books, but I never really took time to read them. I just piled them up. It's just now of recent that I've taken time to start reading them. You understand? And just realizing the gift that I had in them. And I know my younger sister sent me a book some weeks ago. She lives in Australia, so she sent me a book, and I was so grateful for the book, and I couldn't imagine myself being happy for a book. And I was so happy about it. When like someone bought me a car, that's how it felt to me. I was so happy, and I just thought, man, this is not who I used to be a long time ago. If someone bought me a book, I'll just throw it on me. But yeah, I think I should have done more of that in my 20s. If I'd done more of that in my 20s, I would be more, I'd have understood more, I'd have made less of the mistakes I made. But that's looking in hindsight, though. There's no regret because a lot of the mistakes I made is what is allowing me to teach today. So there are no regrets. So on a good day, this what would you have done better? It's just us talking from human intellect. I think things went the way they were meant to go, for me to get to where I am, and for me to be on the path that I am on right now. Um, yeah, but if I had the chance to think of what to do, maybe that what I'd have done in my 20s. Um, as per 30s, 30s are quite different because I got married when I was 30 or 31. Yeah, I was 31. I just clocked 31 on November 29, 2011, and I got married on December 3rd. So I just newly turned 31 then. So I was new into my 30s at that point in time. And so life changed when I was in my 30s because in my 30s I became a husband and a father. Now, what could what are the things that how was my 30s like? It was my 30s it was difficult and good. It was difficult. I'll say bittersweet. Now, when I say bitter, I don't mean that in the sense of regrettable. I just mean bitter in the sense of challenging. So, in my 30s, I, I started doing very well business wise because I'd learned so much about business and I'd learned so much about how business is more about interacting with people than the actual work you do. I found that out in my 30s. And finding that out just made me make a lot of friends and win a lot of jobs and stuff like that. So my 30s, especially when I turned 32, my business was doing really, really well. Started doing well. Um, you know, it was a good time business wise. In my 30s, I'd already created a niche for myself in the industry of design as a go-to logo designer. So people knew me. Um, I enjoyed my business a lot in my 30s, which was a good thing. So that was the sweet part. The challenging part was I was just experiencing marriage for the first time. So it was the early part of it was kind of challenging because I was trying to get used to living with someone else. Do you understand? I've been living with someone, but the dynamics of living with a wife, and I know it's the same thing with women and men. The dynamics of living with a husband is very different. It's very different. So it was challenging in the sense that we were getting to know each other more outside of courtship. And when I say this, me and my wife had courted for 7 years before we got married, and we were friends. So I can imagine those that are not friends. I always pity people that are not friends when they get, because if me and my wife were friends, and there were still some challenges, getting to accommodate each other. I can imagine when you're not friends with your wife and how that can be major challenging. So, you know, I was beginning to learn a lot about the dynamics of the relationship of a man and a woman, what women want, what they don't want. I was beginning to understand how women are, what they value, how they work, how I work myself as a guy, what makes me tick. You understand? So I was seeing a different dynamics to who I was as a person, and I was seeing a different side to me that I never knew existed. So it was pretty different because of the marriage thing. And then immediately after some, like, I think a year into our marriage, we had our first child. We got married in December 2011. We had our first child in October 2012. So that was another thing that I had to get used to. You understand, father, being a father, fatherhood. It was um, it was pretty hard. It was pretty hard in terms of, you know, having a baby for the first time, the baby schedule, how much they demand. Um, I don't think it was hard financially raising a baby. In fact, it wasn't hard for that financially because my business was doing well. The only thing was just the scheduling, because my daughter, for one, I don't know if all babies are like that, was very notorious when it came to sleeping at night. So she wasn't someone that used to sleep a lot at night and stuff. So that used to affect my work, going to work, driving to work early in the morning, not having enough sleep, sleeping sometimes when I'm driving. That was very scary experience for me. And I lost a lot of weight that period. It took a lot of it was draining for me mentally. Do you understand? Although it was a beautiful experience having this child that was part of you, was very surreal to me. But that's what made my that was a good bulk of my 30s. That's when I now learned that thing of work-life balance. You understand? Because that's when it starts to kick in. Because you're trying to work as a young man, but you're also trying to spend time with family. So it was one of those things, and that was part of the marriage dynamics too, that I had to settle out with my wife, where she wanted my time, but I was used to working 13 hours a day. Do you understand? I was used to going out, working, doing a print for a client, and coming back late at night. And then she would call me and say, "Where are you? Where are you?" And she'll be annoyed with me when I come back late, and I'll be like, "Why are you annoyed with me when I'm coming back late? Because I'm going to work and do stuff for the family." You understand? So it was all those kind of things that were clashing. But it was a learning experience. I learned patience in my 30s. So I feel you going into your 30s right now. A lot of times, a lot of us get begin to most of us will go into the institution of marriage at 30. I'm not saying it's a must for everybody, but most people. So for Temi now, you might get married in your 30s. You understand? If you have somebody, just what I want to just advise you to do is, you know, the problem with guys is we focus a lot on business, then we get blindsided by marriage. So we are thinking of, I need to make money, I need to make money. When I make money, I'll get married. And when you get married, you realize you are not prepared for marriage because you spend so much time thinking of business. And then we go into marriage having for it to be a struggle. That's what happened to me. Never read any marriage books, never went to any marriage seminar, never listened to any marriage audio, never, that kind of thing. So then I had to learn everything on site. It was not very easy. So I would advise you, it's not a time to start thinking, how can I grow my business to the next level? I talk to so many guys, they're like, oh man, I need to hustle more and just get some money. No, 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 no. It's the time to start thinking, building your emotional intelligence in your 30s. Um, build yourself as a man that a woman will be attracted to. Build yourself as a man that a woman can depend on emotionally, and a woman can help emotionally too. Teach yourself to be vulnerable. This sort of masculinity that we have, that men must always be strong. At 30, you must be used. You must be comfortable crying. If it means comfortable crying, I know that you crying doesn't make you less of a man. You must be comfortable being scared. You must know that doesn't make you less of a man. You must be comfortable articulating your emotions, saying exactly how you feel. Because when you do enter the institution of marriage, that is what the woman would want. You to be able to articulate what's on your mind. And a lot of guys don't know how to do that. Articulate what's on their mind, as in, man, I'm just feeling very frustrated right now. I feel very sad. I feel very scared about the future. I don't know. The more you can articulate, the more you will bond with a woman. But the more you cannot articulate, the more you will be separated in your relationship with a woman. So what I'll say is, as you enter your 30s, build emotional intelligence. Professional things, you should have built that in your 20s and stuff. Now build emotional. Then when you get into your 40s and stuff, you kind of merge both of them together, and you become a very attractive human being. You understand? Both to your family and those around you, that is emotionally grounded, that is financially grounded. You understand? So I think 30s is the time for you to really lean into yourself and just grow into the man you are meant to be. You understand? That knows your values. So at 30, when they ask you what are your values, you should be able to easily articulate these are my values. So a 30-year-old should not be rambling about their values like a 20-year-old. You should know your values. Because those your values will be tested in your 40s. You understand? They'll be tested. So you need to know them. You need to know them because your 40s you're going to enter into the realm of if and it's not optional. You understand? But if you allow yourself to grow at your in your 40s, enter into your 50s, you should enter into the realm of teaching others and mentoring and guiding. You shouldn't be hustling at that time. In fact, at your 40s, you start tracking back from business being your form of sustenance. You understand? You start tracking back from that, and you should have established something that can make you a person of value that sustains you. So, but that only comes when you have emotional intelligence and you build that on top your professional credibility or credence. So, yeah, I think that's my answer to Temitope's question in a nutshell.
So I can go ahead with the next question.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Next question.
Right. So the next question is Bright's question, and so I think there's actually context before the question, so it's quite a long read. So I'll go. Um, I have stuck to freelancing for this long because of the limitless freedom of expression this model affords me, in spite of the uncertainties and financial instability that comes with it. But lately, my heart has been gravitating towards stability, with eyes fixed on the Europe and American employment markets. Remote, in bracket. I've been taking stabs at this goal for months with lots of rejection and about three almost. That is probably attempts that actually almost worked. And as a very instinctive person who follows his heart more than I do logic, I'm certain this is what I want. Haven't been steadfast in chasing for this long. My question now is, as my mentor who sees and knows my journey so far, one, do you think I am going off track? And should I rechannel my energy? Two, if I'm on track, what recommendations would you give to aid better results? And if not, where should I rechannel my energy?
All right. So that's a good question. Um, and I feel let me start from here. I'm your mentor. I'm your teacher. However, I want you guys to always know that I'm a secondary mentor to the mentor within you. I do not know half of Bright as the spirit of Bright within him. My mentoring is nothing compared. My sense of direction is nothing compared to that spirit within you that says, Bright, do this. Bright, do this. I don't ever take that for granted. The greatest, the greatest, most intellectual being is on the inside of you, not on the outside. My job as a mentor is not to form you. It's not. And that's why a lot of people, you know, a lot of mentors get it wrong. A lot of mentees get it wrong. Mentoring is not about forming people. Mentoring is about guiding. It's about guidance. So my place is to listen to what Bright wants to do on his inside and to number one encourage you. You understand where there is fear. I should be the one to say, don't be afraid. Listen to that voice on your inside. What makes a mentor successful is the realization of yourself, not the realization of the mentor's desires. You understand? I don't want Bright to be what I want him to be. I want Bright to be what he desires to be on the inside. Because on the inside of Bright is the Spirit of God, which is infinitely more intelligent and wiser than I am. So my place as a mentor is to be sensitive to that spirit and to make Bright even more sensitive to his own spirit. So Bright, if you feel a discomfort on your inside telling you, I've been doing freelancing for so I want to find some stability and I feel I should venture out to working with people out there remotely, international clients, then by all means, Bright, follow that. You understand? Because there is there is a a compass on your inside, a spiritual compass that wants to help you to be all you can be. So if you feel it's that time to take that step, then you should take that step. However, you must be conscious of the fact that there is everything starts out with rejection. Everything starts out with rejection, whether outright rejection or subliminal rejection. It's there, everything. So if people don't say you are not good enough, your work itself will tell you it's not good enough. We all start out that way. So don't let that discourage you. Rejection is key. You know, I remember when I started doing logo design, I was the first official logo I did because um, I didn't even know logo design was like something you could specialize in. So I didn't pay that much attention to it. So when I started design, someone told me do a logo for me. I just did one kind of thing. It didn't look like I didn't take it as I just thought someone just wanted to do something for his company. I just did it for him. I remember that guy was running a hover company, you know. So but I just I did a logo for him. It was too complicated. I just took the picture of the hover and just put it on the logo and wrote the name of the company. There's no way that logo can work in black and white or anything. But I gave it to him, he was happy, he took it. That was a long time. That was 2004 when I did that logo for him. But when I went to Canada, by the time I finished with school in 2006, a woman walked up to me in church. And I don't know, I've forgotten how she knew I was a designer. But she said, "Oh, you're a designer, please, I want to design a logo for my company. I have this company that's into leadership training." And he said, "Can you design a logo?" I said, "Yes." I wanted the extra money. You understand? So I said, "Yes." And she gave me this work to do. And the work that was meant to, I don't know how many weeks we said, but it took longer than normal. And she was just rejecting. She said, "I don't want this. It doesn't communicate what you want. I don't want this. What?" I just rejected. And in the end, she just said, "I don't think you are the one for this job." And she left. And I never got paid. But it was a very bad experience. I felt very embarrassed by the fact that I couldn't deliver to this woman what she wanted me to deliver. So I vowed to myself then that I won't do logo design again. I said this thing is too hard. Is this what it takes? I have to think of what this woman wants in her head and put it into one small graphics for her. I said I'm never doing it again because of that rejection I had. But you see, I'm talking to you now, 18 years later. Man, not only have I done logo design, but I've done logo design at a very top level. You understand? So even here in Nigeria, I talk about a lot of logo designers. You know, a lot of people know me as a logo designer, but it didn't start out as being accepted by the industry. It started out with rejection. It was rejection. So rejection, we always start out with rejection. There's a part of the Bible I was reading. I think it was Genesis 22, where where Sarah told Abraham to send away Hagar and her son Ishmael. If you are conversant with that part of the Bible, where Sarah had a son for Abraham when he was 100. They've been trying to have a baby for a while, but they couldn't. But before they had the baby, she had a maid called Hagar, and at the time she had already given up on then having a child. So she so said, "Look, so that Abraham's name will not die, he should have a baby with her maid." And he had a baby with her maid, a son, who was Ishmael. And when she had her baby, she realized that Ishmael, who was the son of her maid for her husband, was contesting or contending with her son, was mocking him. So she said, "This guy cannot be in the same house with us, so send him away." So Abraham sent her away, sent Hagar away with her son Ishmael, and they were in the desert. And he said, when they got to the desert, the water that they had finished. So they thought they were going to die. So Hagar had already said her her last prayers in quote and said, "This my son is going to die." So And I can't watch him die. So she put him somewhere. And they said Ishmael was crying. He was crying from thirst. Now, God saved them. God saved Ishmael. And what's interesting is that that same Ishmael that the desert wanted to kill ended up becoming a master of the desert. Because it says that he became an archer, and he became an archer in the desert. So they grew up, he didn't live that desert, he grew up in that desert. He mastered the desert and he built a clan, a formidable clan. So he became a master of the desert. He became a leader in that desert. So that desert that almost rejected him in the beginning became his domain in the end. So don't get don't get discouraged that these first few clients you are having, they are trying to reach out to abroad, are rejecting you. Steady, 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 they are rejecting you. It doesn't mean it's not for you. It just means you are going through the normal early stage, it has to be rejection. You understand?
Hello, sir.
Early stage, it has to be yeah.
Okay, okay. Sorry, I just wanted to give context to. I think there was a part that I left that's a very important part of the question.
All
Um,
right.
so it reads that these questions are what's the logical part of me have been asking myself for a while. So like an internal kind of conversation. Like I said, it was more of a part says it follows more of his emotions, and then the questions as directed to you are questions the logical part of him has been asking. And with respect to the applications, they've been applications for actually employment roles as opposed to direct to clients to business kind of. So yeah, I just wanted to
Yeah,
put
yeah.
that in.
All right. It's okay. So you're seeking employment, right? Rather than working as a vendor.
Yes, so like employment and only retainerships rather than working
Yeah.
as a vendor.
It doesn't matter what it is. Right. The most important thing is that you are convinced about it. It doesn't matter whether you are seeking it as I'm not sure I want to be working with, I want to be doing business with them, or I want to be employed by them. It depends on what are you convinced on the inside that's what you want to do. You understand? And if you're convinced, chase it. But no matter how convinced you are, you can never bypass the early rejection. No, you can never, no matter how convinced. You might be convinced, but the early rejection would always be there. Just budget. The problem is that people don't budget for early rejection. They budget for early success. And it's hardly that way. It happens for some people, but one out of every 1,000 people, if not, if the probability is not even grimmer than that. You understand? But a lot of people start with rejection. You understand? You go through some rejection to build your character. But I don't think you've been rejected up to 100. Have you been rejected up to 100 people? Are they up to 100 that have rejected you? Right. Are they up to 100 people that have rejected you?
No, 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 no. Even on my part, I had noticed a couple of errors. Like the first 30 emails I had sent. Funny enough, my what do they call it? My portfolio was locked, so it needed to be questions had the needed access, and I know recruiters will not even go through that length. So no, I've not
Exactly.
gotten up to on the rejection.
Exactly. So you see, you're learning what you need to tweak, what you need to tweak. You understand? That's what you're learning. So you're getting better for your right recruiter or for the right employer. You understand? So you're learning as you go. My question for you is what you need to question is this following emotions over rationality. That's where you need to find a balance. So you don't want to be totally emotional and not rational. Because emotions are instinctive, but you're not a reptile. Only reptiles survive on pure instincts. You are a primate. You understand? So a reptile has only one type of thinking: attack or flee. That's how reptiles survive. They don't know any more than that. That's why keeping a snake as a pet is a very dangerous thing, because a snake will bite you instinctively without thinking of why it's biting you. Something just tell it bite to bite. Doesn't care whether you've been feeding it for the past 50 years. A dog, on the other hand, is a mammal. They have a mammal's brain. And with that brain comes emotion. It's called the limbic brain. You understand? The limbic brain has emotion. So he will think, before he bites you, this is my master. That's what mammals do. Now, primates, which is what we are, higher animals, we have a part of our brain that is reptilian, a part of our brain that is limbic, and we have a part of our brain we call the neurocortex that allows us to rationalize and think. That's why we are different from animals. So when some people just say, "Oh, I'm just more emotional than rational," then you're thinking like a reptile. Do you understand? And you don't want to, because you not have to start thinking like a human being and start saying, "Why do I want to work with clients abroad? What's the root reason why I want to be employed rather than work as a business? Is it fear? Am I fearful that this business I'm doing cannot take me far? Is it an insecurity of how I look compared to my mates, where I see them driving cars and I'm like, this business will never buy me a car? Is it that is it just the name of working with an international company? You need to search yourself, and that search your why. Because you know what? If your why is grounded in fear, then you submitting to that fear only makes that fear conquer you. So you need to think, why? Why? Is it fear or is it faith that is making me want to work with this client abroad and be hired? But once you come to that clarity and you realize, okay, it's not fear, it is faith. It is what I really want on the inside, it's how I want to express myself. You understand? I think I've explored everything in this business thing enough. But for me right now, I want to give this other thing a try. I feel like I'm getting old enough and I don't want anything to deny me the opportunity of saying I tried working. See, now you're having clearer, more concise, more contextual thoughts. So don't be too emotional, because a lot of things that we do just emotionally always ends up in regret. So balance your emotions with intellect. You understand? So think about it. And I've thought about there's the reptile, there's the mammal, there's the primate. But the primate is not even the highest. Now you now move from being a primate to being a believer. So not only do you think with your neurocortex, the front of your brain, you now start thinking with your spirit too. And now when you now start saying, God show me, direct me. You understand? Give me some proof that this is the path you want me to walk in. You understand? Send people to me if you need to validate this thing that you have. So you see, you in that way you'd have secured all three: your emotional, your logical, and your spiritual, and then you can move forward. You understand? So that's what I would advise you to do. You understand? It's good that you feel this thing, but then go back, question some more why you feel it. Be honest with yourself. If there's fear there, say it. I'm just scared. You understand? I'm just scared of the future with business. I'm scared. You understand? And you tell God that. You understand? Tell God exactly how you feel. That I'm scared. I'm scared of this thing, and I know fear is not from you. So give me faith. You understand? I want to move in faith, not in fear. You understand? And then you begin to have more clarity. And but once you resolve things within you, you would realize that life will begin to open itself up to you. And that's why I say that sometimes this rejection that we have is there to refine us and to form us into the people we're having. So every time you are rejected by somebody, you're going back and you're thinking, what did I do wrong? So you're thinking it might be a technical thing you're doing wrong, it might be an emotional thing you're doing wrong, it might be a spiritual thing, but you go and autocorrect. Once everything is aligned, you realize that what you want will just fall into your lap, because then you are ready for it. You understand? But so rejection kind of means sometimes some things are not aligned. So it's the same thing with relationships. You're trying to get into a relationship, you see a girl you like, she rejects you. You see a lady you like, she rejects you. Every time she rejects, you're going to think, why? What's happening? What's happening? Then you start editing some things. Maybe I don't know how to talk to a lady. Maybe I don't know how to dress. Maybe I don't know how to speak. Maybe I'm not patient. But by the time you're tweaking all these things, before you know it, that person that is meant to find you will find you. You will just say very little, everything will click. You understand? But it didn't click because you are a bad guy. No, it clicked because you are a guy that has been reformed slowly. You understand? So don't rush the process. Just take every single day, but then have a meeting with yourself every night to ask why.
Thank you very much. So the last question is a follow-up, and that's from
All right.
Tom Ted. It says how it said this is a follow-up to Bright's question. How can how can one get into the American remote market, or rather overseas remote? I have been scared to even apply. I have almost no connection.
Hmm. All right. So, yeah, it's a follow up on your question. How does one get into that market? And
Yeah.
which is where even Tom Ted needs to ask himself, why does he want to get into that market? Why? You understand? Is it a fear he's having that there's no market here? Because when people tell me about this American market, I think a lot of times, a lot of people, there are some people it's meant for. Some people, no matter what they do, that American market will not work out for them. You understand? Some people are on Fiverr. They've been there for the past 10 years. They've not gotten any better job. Budget has never been higher than $5 to $10. Some people on Fiverr, they've been there for the last 5 years, and they are doing jobs worth tens of thousands of dollars. So you need to ask yourself why. One thing you know is that a lot of times, you see, when we do things from a fear, insecure part, it always ends up in struggle. You understand? Because you are not owning it confidently. You yourself, you are contradicted on the inside. You are conflicted. You are conflicted um about your why. You understand? Your why is selfish. And the Bible says something. It says, "What causes quarrel amongst you because you all of you want to achieve what you want." I think that was Paul talking to a church. I can't remember. But then it says, "You ask, but you don't get because you ask for selfish reasons." And that's why we must know that God doesn't support selfish reasons. So I was reading about the Tower of Babel, and when the people were building the Tower of Babel, the mistake they made was not the fact that they were trying to build something to reach heaven. That was not the mistake. If you read that scripture very well, it says, "Let us build a tower in our name." That's what they said. Let's build a tower in our name. It was for them, it was selfish interest. The only good was to glorify themselves. And that's what God had the biggest issue with. That it was really based on self centeredness. So think about this thing. Think about it. Think about why you want to work for the American client. Is it an insecurity that you want to prove to people that, okay, me too, I'm earning dollars, I'm earning dollars, I'm earning dollars? You have a car, I have a car. You understand? You've traveled abroad, I've traveled abroad. You understand that kind of thing? Your passport is stamped, my passport is stamped. Those kind of things are very selfish, very baseless. And sometimes you're not getting it is more a protection from God from you than it is a denial to punish you. You understand? So we need to think about why do you want a a a job because there are jobs here in Nigeria. There are good jobs. There are, this thing we keep saying there are good jobs here. There are jobs here. There are people that have them. But that said, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to work with. No, it's not bad. But then, sometimes this narrative that we've inundated ourselves with is a very covetous narrative. So people just say, "Ah, man, I made my first $100,000." No, to be honest with you, I get very irritated when I'm sorry to say, when everybody, even in Nigeria, everybody's talking dollars. It has become a culture now. It wasn't a culture before, but it's a culture. Even the people who always convert what they do in dollars, talk to their clients in Nigeria in dollars. I'm like, well, that's his place, but I'm like, we're both Nigerians, we're here. Might as well talk in the currency we have. But But then some people say, ah, you're not thinking globally, you're not thinking well. I just feel we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to look the part. So I really feel we need to question why it is we are doing what we are doing. So something has also said something about him being fearful of putting himself out there, and that also concerns me. That if you really want it and you want it for good reasons, um, you understand, you really believe within you, there's a conviction that that's where you should go, then what comes next is fear and insecurity that you don't deserve it. And that's where Tomted might need to make himself understand that nobody deserves what they have. Even the people that you think deserve it, we are all undeserving. So you might as well get in there with other undeserving people. You understand? So yeah, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to work with this. See my portfolio, see my education, see my background, see my this. No, no, just get in there. The next guy doesn't deserve it too. Nobody deserves it. Nobody deserves it. You understand? We are all custodians of the good that we get. We're all custodians. None of us did anything to achieve it. And what I mean is that even if you are a good UX designer, good, you learned UX, but you didn't give yourself the brain. The brain was given to you. You can't create a brain. You understand? It was divinely given. So you don't deserve it. You understand? You don't deserve Jack. You understand? Everything to us was divinely given. So I Tomtes needs to understand that he shouldn't question himself as much as he has been questioning himself. And if he really believes he has a leading for it, then just go for it. You understand? Go for it and get in there. But as I told you, Bright, that there will be rejection. Definitely, there will be rejection. Um, but I think what I want to add to say in conclusion to these two questions, your question and Tomte's question, is a lot of times what we chase eludes us. What you chase eludes you. So, it's just like with marriage. When you're looking for a wife, you won't find wife. When you relax and you chill and you're yourself, then you find wife. It's just like in life too. When you're looking, you're looking for a pen. You're like, ah, this is my pen. It should be on this table. I'm looking for it. Now start looking for it actively. You won't find that pen. You'll be like if the pen has fallen in one hole out of the galaxy. You can't find it. You check everywhere. And one day you just want to lie down on the bed. And what do you see? The pen right beside your pillow. Ah, ah. I'm like, where was this pen when I was looking? It's the day you were not looking for the pen that the pen just precipitates and you find the pen. So you see, um, that's exactly how life is. So don't be so fixated on trying to find. Don't be so fixated on trying to find. Spend more time on trying to, or on just living each day. Don't be so fixated on trying to find. Just live each day. And as you live each day, you realize that what you want or that thing which you desire is getting closer and closer to you. So the strategy to getting abroad jobs is not to be fixated on getting abroad jobs and just do the Nigerian jobs that are coming to you, do them well. Trust me, each Nigerian job, if you are really meant to work with companies abroad, is leading you closer and closer to your clients abroad. Once you know that each job is leading you closer and closer to your clients abroad, you'll begin to understand that we don't do anything ourselves. The God has already ordered our steps. You understand? Sometimes you just need to relax, and these things will find us eventually. So that was my answer to the question for Bright and Tomted. I don't know if Bright is still on the call. I think he has dropped off the call. Yeah, Bright is no longer on the call. Um, yeah, it's already 2:52. So we might need to end the call at this time. Let me see if I can end it. Oh, I might not be able to. Okay, okay, Bright, you're back with us. So, Bright, I've answered the
Actually,
question and I was just going to.
all right.
So I don't want to round up the session.
Okay. I hope this thing was still recording while I was off. Okay, it was still recording.
We're still recording anyway. It's all right. All right. So yeah, I think those are all the questions for now. It's already 2:53, so I think it's a good time for us to close this call. But I hope it has been helpful. I think you guys should listen to the recording. You can share the recording with me too, and and with the rest of the guys. The song missing you. What's his name? I forgot his name. Ehosa. Ehosa. Yeah. Share it with Ehosa too, and Tomten.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, sir? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I think Eosa should have been busy today. I'm having network issues like badly now. But
It's all right.
Eosa should be at work. So I will
Yeah,
I will
sure.
share the
Yeah, just share it with
recording
him.
with him.
Share it with him and Tomten. Yeah, because Tomten said he will be on the road anyway at this time.
Yes, he said
Yeah.
so.
Mm.
Yes, sir. All right. All
All
right.
right, no
Okay,
problem.
sir.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you for
time.
the
I
session.
appreciate it.
And,
All
thank
right,
you,
take
sir.
care of yourself.
God bless. All right. Sir, just one
Yeah.
thing. I might something just came up this week, and I couldn't add that as part of the question for this meet because it was just this morning. It's something about that the client at the supermarket and still related to this. So I don't know. I could send the question to you later just to
All right, send,
because
send,
I'm just
yeah, send,
conflicted.
send,
I'm
send.
just conflicted. I'll send it later.
All right, send it to me. Send it to me on WhatsApp. No problem.
All right, sir. Okay. Take care. God bless.
All right, then. Take care.
All right. All right.